Hello there, guys. It is Peter Kim, now known as Vixtrix, formerly known as Jack Rabbit, or the Korean Rambo. It has been a very long time since I've shown my face on camera here for a video for my YouTube channel. And I suppose the only reason I would have for that, well, we'll go ahead and get into it. First off, let's start with the decade review. As some of you may know, if you don't know, you're just popping my channel to see why is this Asian kid talking shit in here, and then don't worry, I'll go ahead and give a brief synopsis of who I am and I guess what I do and how legitimate is my advice or training, etc. Well, when I was 10 years old, I started off as a Taekwondo practitioner. That was back in about 2009, right after I turned 10 years old. I started at Pace Academy Taekwondo and stayed there until I was about 15, almost 16. I had gained my black belt. I was a 5-time state champion in sparring, not so much in forms, or Pumse, which is essentially like kata in karate. So anyways, I was also an international contender, national contender, meaning that I medaled, but I never got the first place. So it is what it is. It is what it is. At a point with my Taekwondo career, I had realized that the skills that I was cultivating there, the habits that I was creating there in that Taekwondo dojang under my Sabanan Master Pace, as great of a Taekwondo black belt he is, as great of a practitioner he is, and a competitor he is, as strong as he is, as fast as he is, I was not learning how to actually fight. And I realized this somewhere near the end of my Taekwondo career, because at that point, I was very unstable, I was a very volatile individual. I had often gotten street fights over at the skate park, at my school, random places, etc. And although my Taekwondo helped me have this dynamic ability to be able to blunder my opponents and bewilder them before I would hit them with some crazy spinning kick, or utilize my kicks as if they're jabs and crosses like in a boxing contest, in such a speed and depth of meta to where most could not figure it out. I did realize those with at least rudimentary training, or at least good street fighting instinct, that I just did not stand up to them very well. There are some instances where my bare minimum knowledge of wrestling and grappling that I had just learned by watching on YouTube after being, after being bested by other wrestlers and grapplers who maybe were not at a high level, not even a intermittent level, I would argue, but they were at a level good enough to hold me down on the ground, and I didn't like that. I remember specifically one of the last incidences that made me want to switch martial arts was when I had gotten to this street fight with this big native man. He was very big. I've already done a video over here. I'll go ahead and link it right here. If you haven't watched that before, those are the details. Please bear with me. Anyways, despite me winning that fight and despite me putting that man away, I felt very inefficient with my movement. I was very proud of myself for a little bit, the fight before that and the fight after, and I also had a Taekwondo tournament the day after that, so I fought 3 days in a row, but I was not satisfied with my performances in any of those fights, because it had seemed as if that my instinct for street fighting, my instinct for having these habits when I got into an altercation on the streets with someone who actually wanted to, punch me in the face, or kick me in the head or take me down, instead of just playing this Taekwondo flip and ah, you know what I'm saying? Like it just it just didn't click anymore in my head. Like I was pretty much like one of the best competitors, without being too cocky, at my school, but I just couldn't put that work in anymore. I didn't have that motivation. I didn't have that drive, just because I realized what I was doing just was not an accurate representation of a fight. It felt in the sense that I was lying to myself. So, 15, I had switched to Muay Thai, boxing, wrestling, jiu-jitsu. I tried studying one of these other martial arts to some degree of success, such as Qigong, Capoeira, some Wing Chun, some random Kung Fu stuff. Never like seriously. I would always just steal a couple techniques here and there that I would see on YouTube, or I would exchange with other martial artists that had the courtesy to go ahead and try to demonstrate some of their techniques in a very humble fashion for me to try and mix into the art I was trying to cultivate for myself at that time with my striking. So from 15 onwards, I started training Muay Thai. Essentially MMA, but I didn't step into my first actual MMA gym until I was 17. From there, I've pretty much just been akin to a Ronin almost, never really having one master, never really staying in one gym. Not because it was like a self-guided effort. It was really more of a financial problem for me. Um, Initially I started training at the Phoenix gym with these two tough-ass Tongan American motherfuckers, bro, and these guys beat the fucking snot out of me every week, and I learned so much from those guys, and they cultivated my Muay Thai so well over there, but I did slack in my Jiu-Jitsu. I did take some no-gi classes, but I slacked in my Jiu-Jitsu until I just had to move out. I had to move out around 17. This was before I went to the MMA gym, The Phoenix gym had closed down sometime right before I turned 17, and I didn't have the money to go to another gym. My parents weren't paying for it anymore. I didn't want to go to college. I decided right then and there that I wanted to become a professional MMA fighter, a professional kickboxer, a professional jiu-jitsu player, whatever, wherever my life was going to go, whatever opportunities there would be, combat sports was my passion. And that was my primary prerogative. So, for about a full year, when I was in between 16 and 17, I trained on my own. I did my own film analysis. I did my own studying, my own drilling, and my own sparring. What I would do when I was a kid, it didn't start off exactly like full force, but just one day after messing around with a bunch of friends at the local drum circle at Liberty Park, just going slaps or just stopping right before the punch landed and whatnot, I was like, I need some sparring. So I grabbed 2 pairs of gloves, went over to the park, and started boxing everyone up. And after challenge after challenge after challenge after challenge came by, I was like, okay, let's bring my shin pads. Let's do some kickboxing. Challenge after challenge after challenge, and then I saw some grappling. I was like, I'm not that good. But this is an opportunity I can't miss out on, because I really did start to enjoy jiu-jitsu after I dropped out of high school at 17. I had wrestled in high school. I never got to compete, but I did work out with the wrestling team a lot during my junior year in high school before I dropped out and started doing my own thing. So I developed this infatuation with grappling. I wasn't really in love with it yet, if that makes sense, because I was very basic. I was very much a beginner. I had learned some jiu-jitsu moves. I could learn some of it online just by like, oh, okay, this is armor, you know what I'm saying? But I just didn't have the little nuances or the correct technique most of the time. I had to figure that stuff out on my own most of the time, and with my basic wrestling, I was at least able to negate people's takedowns, sprawl out, and hit a darce or hit a guillotine if I could. I did guillotines like this. I don't do it like this back then, but I do my do good old Marcellotine now with the pretzel grip here. Anyways, some people like to do this. Some people like to do this. I feel like you get more torque engaging with this. You know what I'm saying? Put the elbow over your knee to your elbow, and yeah, really good finish. Anyways, I digress. So yeah, I had grapple there. Did kickboxing, boxing, and even some MMA rounds when we had the time and people to do so. And though I won, I'd say 65, 70% of the time, that 30% of the time, I ran into some legit ass motherfuckers. A Naga white belt champion. Now, I say white belt, but you still gotta be pretty good to be a champ. Anyways, white belt champion Naga, jiu-jitsu brown belt and Bellator fighter, 3-time state wrestling champion, and jiu-jitsu blue belt, another blue belt, another purple belt, and another jiu-jitsu Ronin, who had introduced me to the style that I'm currently representing in jiu-jitsu, 10 Planet Jiu-Jitsu. And the thing was this man, I don't think he ever really went to an actual 10 Planet, but he did go to different jiu-jitsu open mats and different jiu-jitsu gyms around the state, and had learned the majority of his jiu-jitsu off of, watching the warm-up drills that we do for 10 Planet, A1, A2, A3. And it's not just like, the regular jiu-jitsu warm-ups, you shrimp, or you just do your inversions, or you just do your basic mobility. But these warm-up drills are more just like preset transitions and possible submissions that you just go through, so you understand when you land these positions in an actual live roll or grapple or fight, you have these options open to you. So really, the majority of the jiu-jitsu that I learned at first in depth consistently was from this 10 Planet Ronin. So that's when I started garnering the title of the 10 Planet Ronin when I was at Drum Circle. So really, at the Liberty Park, at my local park, just fighting randos and training by myself is where I cultivated the majority of my skill initially. Then I had met this former amateur MMA fighter with only one fight, but he was pretty alright. He had some decent, shifting techniques. He was a decent boxer, decent clincher, decent kicker. And I say decent only because he was only able to catch me when I was tired. After he got me when I was tired, I say he got me, but he didn't get me that bad. He just outsmarted me that round just because I didn't have the energy or the brains to think of that moment. So he recruited me into his gym. He scouted me out for the whole day after sparring everyone. And I fought another MMA fighter that day. He was very tough, but I outsmarted him at least, just because we were around the same height, and I was able to capitalize. But that's details for another day. I'll go ahead and talk about some of my Drum Circle fights. But anyways, he scouted me into his MMA gym, and there that's where I started cultivating more, I guess, like my MMA instincts and fight IQ. Sparring and training with pro fighters, legitimate pro fighters who fought in legitimate organizations and promotions. If not legitimate pro fighters, legitimate amateur fighters who fought in local promotions or promotions around the country. Just to name a few, Combate Americas or Combate, I don't know, some Mexican American promotion, I'm not entirely sure. The Combate Americas promotion, Fight Axis, HDNet, I'm not sure what that one's called, honestly, it's right off my head, but Steel Fist, Fierce Fighting Alliance. Those are just the ones off the top of my head. I can't really think of any more. So if any one of you guys are watching these videos, I apologize. Love you guys from the bottom of my heart. Really do. That's a bad heart. More like an ace or spade. Is that spade? Whatever. Anyways. So from there, due to some misdirection in instruction I was given there one day, and I was practicing a clinch escape with a friend of mine outside the gym. I dislocated my shoulder. And this was a very terrible dislocation. This is a type of dislocation where I heard multiple pops and cracks and all sorts of terrible noises you don't want to hear coming out of the jaw. What happened was I was practicing a clinch, right? Or tie clinch escape, tie clinch where you have the full plumb. And what you do is when they have the clinch on you, you put your neck back up and you hit the elbow with your shoulder, so then their clinch becomes like this almost, right? And it creates this little space, and you come back, and their clinch is exposed. So hit a shoulder, put your hand in, grab the single collar, and start working from there, right? Well, they had taught me to put the single collar in and do the twist at the same time. I drilled it hundreds of times in the gym that way. Never dislocated my shoulder. The second anyone gave me any resistance, real hard resistance on that, dislocated my shoulder. Just all the way back here. I didn't have anyone to relocate my shoulder at that moment either, so I just sat there like, and I just thought, okay, well, if I can just figure out what muscles to flex in my back, I should just be able to send it right back in, right? So I thought about it whilst being in immense of pain, and I just, oh, and immediately it was fucked up, man. I could not believe how messed up my shoulder had become at that moment. So the next couple of months were spent in rehabilitation and trying to figure out where my career is going to go after. And without getting into too many details of my personal life, I was struggling with a lot of addiction. Afterwards, I had linked up actually with one of the fighters I had trained with before at that MMA gym. He wasn't a specific member of that gym. He was for a little bit, but he left after a while. And I had been following his career on Instagram and Facebook, and this man became the amateur featherweight and lightweight champion here with our local promotion, Utah Steel Fist Promotions, and Fierce Fighting Alliance, actually. So, Julian Ruiz is his name. You can look him up on YouTube, actually. He's a very strong man, very hard puncher, and very good wrestler. You don't really see too much of his wrestling in some of these fights, but that's just because he hits motherfuckers so hard they wrestle him first, so. He's a very suave character. he's very much laid back and chill, and I don't want to say slow like he's slow in the head or anything. He's just slow with his speech, slow with his demeanor, but everything up here is still working really good. It's just the way he chooses to hold himself, due to the culture he's brought up in and the culture that he subsists in now. He's really good guy. So I just had hit him up randomly one day to buy one of his t-shirts. I was like, fuck it, man, I'll support local MMA, like, you're a cool guy. And just randomly, we have become friends from there and started hanging out, started partying a little bit, and eventually this guy led me into his gym, and we started training there. And we both decided to get ready for the U.S. Muay Thai Open that was happening in Arizona at the time. And despite me being only about 3 months past my shoulder dislocation and trying to rehab it and everything, I thought, well, this must be my time. This must be my opportunity. If I don't take this now, what am I going to do? And that was probably one of the worst decisions I could have made, because I had a full-time job back then. Well, obviously I have a full-time job now, but the full-time job I had back then was very demanding of me. I was a supervisor, not supervisor, I was a manager at KFC and A&W, which means I had to work random doubles 5 days a week, regardless. 9 to 4, 9 to 3. No, it's 9 to 4, 9 to 4. No, 9 to 4, 9 to 5, depending on how many people show up. We were always understaffed. And at a certain point, I just had to start working doubles just because the pay was so crap. I couldn't afford going to both 10 Planet Salt Lake City and the other gym I was going to at the time. Um, oh, and I signed up for 10 Planet Salt Lake City right before they had opened. There was a big old seminar. Sorry, left that detail out. Um, yeah, it was all messed up. It was all very messed up. I couldn't get the training that I wanted. I couldn't get the diet that I wanted. I couldn't get the running that I wanted. And for some people, that's okay. Some people, you just go in there and it's like, fuck it, well, fuck it, I don't care. Fuck, you know what I'm saying? But I'm very much the type of person where I want to feel like my approach was calculated, it was deliberated, and it was intentional. Feel confident going into the fight, and I didn't feel confident. I didn't feel right. I didn't feel strong, and I still gave that motherfucker a tough fight. You know, I rocked him at least 3 times in the fight. Had him up against the ropes and almost finished him in combinations, but this guy had a chin, he had heart, and he told himself he wasn't going to lose that day. And I told myself, well, I'm not going to give up today. um, so it was messed up. It was a real messed up time, and that fight put a chip in my shoulder. I said, all right, we'll just get back to work and keep going. And I got the number for the Muay Thai promoter here in Utah, and I thought, all right, I'm gonna just get back to train, get some fights here locally, and go out there again, get a belt. And a month afterwards, I dislocated my shoulder again. Just boxing. I was boxing a drum circle. It had been a long day already. I was messing up fools on the feet doing kickboxing, but this homie decided he wanted to do boxing only to prove a point. So I wanted to prove a point too. Big mistake. I should just kick him in the face. I know, but I digress. So it was very much one of those fights where it was very dirty, very gritty. I'll go ahead and get up to kind of demonstrate some moves I was using. He was like this southpaw fighter, right? Yeah, I don't think he really fought in like a real Philly shell. You know what I mean? He just mostly had his hands here because he wanted to blade his stance and have like this Jeet Kune Do style, right? Where he wouldn't jab. They do though. Back fist, right? He would try to step in, and his hop was insane. It wasn't as if he was just stepping in, bah bah. He was hopping, for that left hook. He just wanted to try and hop in for that left hook. Except, I'm sorry, he wanted to hop into that right jab, except that left hook constantly. And me being the idiot that I was that day and being a little bit angry, I just couldn't figure it out at some points and got a little frustrated. So instead of finding my fight, I got I got a little rowdy. So I would be a little bit smart. I would back away, take small steps, find the distance, and if I could, I just rip a shot. And I was trying my darndest to really hurt this motherfucker, but it's really hard when you have the big gloves in. There's a lot of area to cushion, and if you don't have kicks, then you don't have the legs to kick. You don't have the guard here to sneak a front kick in, and you can't kick them even if they're, if someone's blocking just like this for a punch, typically it's fine. But if you're just blocking like this, you kick that motherfucker right in the head, then the power translates. The power translates. So what had happened was I was waiting, just moving away, trying to pot shot the biggest shots I can until he got tired. And I noticed when he got tired because instead of just coming in, just now just throwing his jab and sticking it out there, coming down this way, and coming back. Okay, I see you. So instead of backing away, put my defense up, put my shoulders up, put my hands up, instead of just walk in. I find the shot, boom, boom, to the body, right? Next time, I saw that jab coming, I slipped through a left hook. That was the widest goddamn left hook in the world. I threw it to the head. He knew immediately once he missed that jab, he's gonna get hit with something bad. So he ducked down. And I missed that hook. I was like, okay, for sure, I see you. So my second thought in that situation was I'm gonna bait that jab again, slip, but instead of throwing a left hook, we'll slip, overhand, left hook. So you can guess what happened there from my dislocation. As soon as I slip, I didn't swing it. I tried to shoot it. He decided that when he threw his jab, he was going to hit it right here. I missed his face. So instead of going square into the face here, I went like that. Essentially, I don't know how else. Like this was his face, right? I went like that. So my shoulders shot out. Of course, in that moment, I probably would have been fine if it weren't for the fact that I also jabbed my shoulder. So it just dislocated again. And this time I had to have someone come in, pull my shoulder out, and relocate it. So, fast forward to December. Not December. Fast forward to, let's think. Either September and November. Fast forward to either September or November 2019 last year. Done rehab. Well, not done rehab, but at least done with my physical therapy. I had to pay about over $2,000 out of pocket for physical therapy here. And they dry needled it, which is, for those of you who don't know what dry needling is, it's like acupuncture, but instead of targeting the meridians in Chinese acupuncture, they just target certain points in your muscles. So they take a needle, they take the same acupuncture needle, but instead of hitting the meridian and then just leaving it there, they dig it in as hard as they can into every single layer of muscle fiber in specific areas here. It's either your muscle or your tendon or your ligament, whatever, and it helps activate the different muscles around there. It helps release collagen and whatnot. So I had to go through that painful ass experience. They dry needled it, and then they will hook it up to these electricity. What the hell do you call it? They would just hook it up to electricity, and they would shoot these electric shocks through my arm, through my back to repair my shoulder. They took like this metal scraper and did some soft tissue work. They would massage it, and they would put on these blood, what you call it, blood restriction belts on my arms while I did these different exercises with kettlebell and for my rehab. And now I can raise it above my shoulder, move it all directions now, throw uppercuts, throw hooks, do my right straight. It's still a little sketchy sometimes. I do need to still rehab it, but I'm way farther than I was last year. It hasn't been a full year yet since my last dislocation, which was May. All that occurred in May of 2019, right after my tournament. So, yeah, it's been a very rough year. It's been a very rough couple of years, but now I'm smarter, I'm older, I'm wiser. I pace myself in training better, I learn more, and I don't destroy my body every day. So that's where I am with this decade at least. Not really sure what else to say for this video. You know, I intended to go a little bit further into some other details here and maybe talk about, you know, my gaming or my fight schedule or what I'm exactly training in, what kind of uploads that I'm planning to do in the future here. But I think this is good enough. I think this is a good enough video to tell you guys at least what I've been up to the last 2 years, last couple years actually, since I really made an update video like this for my channel. So yeah. Well, for all my loyal subscribers and viewers, thank you. And if you're a new viewer, you know, you're just popping in here seeing what the fuck this kid's all about, you know, thank you too. Even if you hate me, even if you start arguments with me online, I love the attention. So thank you very much. Y'all have a great day, and, you know, love and be love. Y'all have a good one.